Hi, everyone. Welcome to the first ever episode of Ag from the Past. I'm Izzy Fanning, and I'm the Vice President of POA for Madison FFA Chapter. Ag from the Past, their goal is to reach out to previous graduates of the Madison FFA Chapter and see where they are today and help our members now realize what FFA can help you accomplish in life and just really understand the essence of it all. And I'm our first interviewee. I am joined with
Hey folks, my name is Adam Byrd. This is my fourth year as one of the ag teachers here at Madison High School. I'm one of the FFA advisors. Now, Izzy, thank you so much for inviting me to be on the show. I'm excited about what you and the other officers are doing during these very interesting times of the COVID pandemic, where we can't have physical, in-person events and activities for our members, but yet we're still finding creative ways to reach out to not only our members and keep them engaged, but also how can we tie in those that once walked through these doors and walked these classrooms and competed and built what we know as the Madison FFA chapter. So thank you very much for having me. But as you know, I am not a graduate of Madison High School. I'm from North Lenoir High School. I went to high school there from 2008, fall 2008 to spring 2012. I was in FFA all 4 years there as that really shy, timid freshman that had a hard time trying to make new friends and with new students that were merged from the different middle schools at that point. But man, if there was one thing that got me through all those years in high school, it was definitely my ag classes, my ag teachers, and everything I did in FFA. So just to let folks know a little rundown about my experiences in FFA, and then looking forward to being able to kind of talk more about them as we go along, Izzy. Again, 4 years as a high school member from 2008 to 2012. I was a officer of our chapter for 3 of those years. I was a federation officer as well, which federations lead into regions. So I was a Southeast regional officer for my last 2 years of high school. I did end up interviewing and being elected as a state FFA officer in 2012, 2013, my first year in college. Throughout college, I did 2 years at community college at Wayne Community College in Goldsboro, North Carolina. Transferred from there to NC State University. Did 3 years there and ended up graduating with a Bachelor in Science and Agriculture Education with a minor in Animal Science. And just even beyond that, you know, FFA just opened up a number of opportunities. I worked on camp staff at the North Carolina FFA Center at White Lake, North Carolina. 2014, 2015, I was an intern for North Carolina FFA Association from 2000, or all the years of college, my time at NC State University. So that was roughly 2.5 years. And so all of those things kind of helped shape where I am now. And I know that you have some questions about that we're going to lead into about some of those moments and big impacts FFA had on me. But overall, again, thank you so much for having me, Izzy, and excited to hopefully share some inspiration and motivation to encourage others to get plugged in, get involved as either a current member, an alumni, whatever it might be. There's a place for them.
Well, what did you major in when you went to NC State?
Yeah, so my major was in agriculture education, and so as an ag ed major, we also have to decide what our concentration is. We have all these different pathways in agriculture, and so options from horticulture, ag mechanics to animal science, natural resources, etc. So my concentration was animal science. I've always been more of an animal person, and so that's how I ended up getting my minor attached with that bachelor's degree in agriculture education.
So, well, that's amazing. And look at you now. Now you're an ag teacher. So when you were in FFA, did you compete in anything?
Oh, goodness. Izzy, as I looked at these questions you sent me and thought about, what did I do? Actually, when I think about it, I didn't do nearly as much as some of my students do now. Like, I'm pushing my students to do a whole lot more than I did, but for a good reason, because I know the benefits of it. But while I was in high school, the competitions that I did, my favorite was parliamentary procedure, but also learned that I had my version of Parley Pro, and then I got here, and of course, Mr. Ayers being the guru he is with it, I've learned quite a bit more about how parliamentary procedure goes. And you yourself did Parley Pro, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there we go.
3 years.
Oh, man. So I no doubt you know more about it than I do, but we'll be Parley nerds for life. I did public speaking, extemporaneous public speaking, dairy judging, meat identification or meat evaluation, I suppose. Hunter safety, I did that one time, real quick, like turn around. They told me, and 2 days later, I was doing hunter safety. My very first contest was creed speaking. That's the one that really kind of broke my shell and got me to do something I wasn't very comfortable with, and kind of started off all this. I did ag communications, and yes, I also did Envirothon, even though I'm not in charge of that now. And kudos to those that do it, but I did Envirothon when I was in high school. So just a few of those. I remember one time, one banquet, Izzy, I walked away and I had all these trophies and stuff. And it was almost like my mindset was, I got to do everything I can just to get more gold on the shelf kind of thing, or more hardware on the shelf. So not that I did very good at them, but I still participated.
Yeah, at least you're a jack. Sounds like you're a jack of all trades, especially in that extemporaneous speaking.
Yeah, I've always been told I can kind of wing things, so that one came in handy.
Yeah, I bet. So you were an officer. What kind of role did you play in your chapter as an officer?
I'm really glad you asked that question, Izzy. In my opinion, I think the most growth that happens with a student in FFA is at the local program. Yes, we have regional, yes, we have state and even national opportunities, but if you really want to challenge yourself with the day in, day out routines, be a chapter officer, be an active member of your chapter, helping to make those decisions, because it's like going into work every day. Like you can't escape it. You have to make progress every day, whereas maybe regional or state opportunities like once every now and then. So again, at my program, at the high school I graduated with, my first year, I only did creed speaking. And the only reason I did creed speaking is because my brother did it the year before and I had to one-up him. But then that's all I did. I took agri-science applications that first ninth grade year. I did creed speaking in that fall and spring. I didn't do anything else. My ag teacher actually forced me to, or voluntold me to interview for chapter office, and that worked out really well. She actually had to come drag an application to me because I didn't ever go see her for one. But after that, 10th grade year, I was secretary of our chapter, and that was a really new role for me, first leadership role I had been in. And just that was more of a year of learning what it took to be an officer, what it took to plan activities. And I look at what I did then and what I challenge my officers now to do is night and day. I have such higher expectations for y'all than maybe maybe the expectations I had or that people had for me. And that's not a diss on my teachers or anything. It was just different times, where y'all are now versus when I was in high school, completely different times. As a regional, or my junior and senior year, I was president of our chapter, and that was kind of unusual for a junior to be president, but it kind of worked out that way where a lot of the seniors had graduated and there was no other rising senior take up the mantle. And so the last 2 years I was president, and that was truly where a lot of the growth happened, having to plan for those officer meetings, help facilitate the planning that was going on within the program and all those activities, making sure we had a monthly meeting, making sure banquet went smooth and stuff like that. So again, I'll just end it with saying that, my role at the high school, I think was the most pivotal role I had, because that's where my direct sphere of influence was. That's where I saw my peers and, the followers, if you will. But in a lot of ways, I feel like I was following a lot of them because I was following their interests and following what they wanted to see happen. And I was just trying to make that reality, working with the officers, with our chapter officer team.
Wow. You did a lot. I can't believe it. I didn't even know that you were president your junior year.
Yep.
So with that, what opportunities do you think your growth in FFA really helped you come across further in life for you?
Yeah. So, one of the biggest things about FFA that I love, and I wish I could find a better way to advertise this to students, is how it just gets you out of the comfort zone. Be that through competitions, challenging yourself to develop more focused knowledge and hands-on skills and trade skills that you can apply in a competitive setting to kind of see if you are better than other folks at a certain thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's a healthy level of competitiveness. But man, I was all days of competitions. I would be sick to my stomach. And now it's so funny because I see students that I have now having that same feeling where they won't even eat breakfast, and I feel totally calm. Like, it's almost humorous to me to watch my students kind of suffer that day because I remember it so vividly, and being uncomfortable, but then being so relieved after it was all done and knowing that I'd done something. So competitions, but not only that, just the travel. Before I was in FFA, I was just in Lenore County, and the surrounding areas. I didn't travel to Raleigh. I didn't travel to the mountains or anything like that. And so through FFA, it helped me to travel all across North Carolina, as a high school student, but even as a state officer, having to travel all throughout North Carolina to make visits at different chapters and such. It took me to Indianapolis a couple of times, and Louisville, Kentucky. I never would have been there. There was no reason for me to go to those places. And now it's like one of my favorite places to look forward to going. And then ultimately, the furthest it's taken me is Argentina. I went there for 10 days during my state officer year, as a leadership seminar. And, will I ever travel internationally again? Who knows? But at least I did it. And that was an experience in itself, and just seeing something different than, North America and the United States. So those are the two big things for me. It pushed me out of my comfort zone through contests and challenging me in those types of ways, but also just getting me out of Lenore County, expanding what I was comfortable with. And, now, I've been all over the country, and I never would have done that if it hadn't been for breaking out of my comfort zone.
Yeah, I can definitely tell you freshman me and junior me are two totally different people.
Absolutely.
So do you think that if you weren't in FFA when you were in high school, and obviously following that through college, that you would be in the career path that you're in now, or what do you think would have kind of turned out for you?
Oh man, that's a good one. So not many folks know, but growing up, I wanted to be I guess, paleontologist. I wanted to dig like fossils and find dinosaurs and stuff. That's all I wanted to do. Uh, and then as reality set in, I was like, okay. And actually, my high school years, my mother had started going back to school for her nursing degree, and I was helping her. And so I started taking more and more of an interest in the healthcare side of things and becoming a male nurse. But because of FFA and everything, it really triggered a different kind of passion for me. It was something that was very unexpected. Never did I think I was going to be a teacher, nor did I think I was going to become very passionate and informed about agriculture, local and afar. But it is what it is. And so had it not been for FFA, maybe I would have done something in healthcare, but who knows? I still sometimes like to think that I could be a paleontologist, but eh.
Hey, you can go dig in your backyard. I guarantee you can find something.
Probably so. Probably so.
So about Argentina, are there any funny moments or memories that you have from when you went to Argentina with your state officer team?
Oh gosh. So 5 of us went. There were 6 of us from state officer team. Goodness, anything funny from Argentina? The struggle was, I do recall one day, we were walking through Iguazu Falls. It was the Iguazu National kind of rainforest and park, and they have this incredible waterfall called Devil's Throat. And as you're walking through that national park, there are these animals, and I think they're called coatimundis, if I remember right. They're kind of a mixture of raccoons, squirrels, possums. They're just this very interesting looking creature, but they're so comfortable with people being in that park that they'll just kind of move all around you and follow you and stuff. And they're like in herds, so it's a pack of them. But I do remember us all being together and people stopping for a snack and opening bags of chips and stuff. And suddenly they were swarmed by these coatimundis, and they were just climbing up people and smacking the bag out of their hands and stuff. And suddenly it was like people were just running away. Like we were walking down the trail trying to eat our snacks, and suddenly we were attacked by these coatimundis. And then this next thing we were all throwing our snacks and running to the next point that we got away from. So that was definitely one of the funnier moments in Argentina.
I feel like
y'all are gonna have to look up coatimundis just to see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I feel like if I was in that position, I would definitely be terrified.
Yeah. Hence why I'm the animal science teacher.
So what is, out of all of the memories, all of the many, many memories I can assume that you have from FFA, now working with other students or when you were as a member or an officer, what is like one of your favorite key moments, memories that really sticks with you today?
Oh, goodness. There are probably there are so many, so that of course, if somebody watches this and they're like, I can't believe he didn't say that one. They're all very, very precious to me. As a teacher, my proudest moments are when my students succeed and I can like vividly see and picture in my head, like when they find out results and stuff. I do remember when, one of my first students was elected as a state FFA officer, and being able to share that excitement with that student because I'd been through that interview process and that year before, and just knowing how exciting that opportunity was going to be for her was definitely one of the highlights of my teaching experience. I'd say post high school, through camp staff, intern, and all those different experiences, camp staff was definitely my favorite experience. And people were like, you say camp staff and not state office? State office helped me open a lot of doors and build some connections and kind of increase my network. But camp staff is really where I got to connect with a lot of teachers that I'm now working with. I connected with a lot of students. And it was just such an awesome time, such a beautiful place to be and to work for a summer, and an incredible camp staff that just so many stories that will probably never be told or spoken about the trials and tribulations and the funny moments that happen through camp. And then as a high school student, I'd probably say my favorite experience was my senior year going to the national convention. By that time, a lot of my friends in high school had joined FFA and had become officers, and so it was almost as excited as we get, Izzy, when a group of students become seniors and we're like, it's going to be a great year. That was my senior year. It was like 6 or 7 of us that just all loved FFA, loved the ag shop and everything, and we all got to go to Indianapolis on a road trip and have that kind of final big trip together. And so again, so many memories. I remember somebody trying to straighten my hair because I had the long curls then. All sorts of funny inside jokes that we still could talk about today. In fact, my best friend from back home, her and her husband met. We were officers together. They met and started talking to each other at that national convention, and now they're married. And married with a child. So it's just funny how all these things kind of come together.
FFA for love.
There you go. For family.
Oh, heck yeah. So what is the most important lesson you think you learned overall from FFA?
I try to think about that question and come down with a simple answer. I know that through my role as an officer and that leadership role, what I really walked away with was how to, I guess, like project management and being able to communicate effectively. Because you know as well as I do, Izzy, when it comes time for these events to take place, a lot of planning has to go into it, just like this right here. So many logistics have to be thought of, and somebody has to be able to kind of call the shots to delegate tasks and make sure things are getting done. And that just kind of transferred with where I'm now as an advisor, inspecting the work that y'all do and seeing if you're thinking of certain considerations and things like that. So definitely project management, but also just communicating. It's one thing to have an idea, but to really be able to take that idea and that vision and communicate it to where others can buy into it, where they get excited about it, where they can see the details and see it becoming a reality, those are invaluable. And so I think when I think about my time in FFA as a member, officer, and all the other things I've really been fortunate to be a part of, how to manage projects, large projects, and break them down to where they're more manageable. Sorry about that. Where they're more manageable, and then ultimately how I can communicate, my vision, encourage others, communicate information to students, parents, stakeholders, things like that. Invaluable skills that I think go above and beyond anything else that, in my opinion, what we kind of hope students walk away with by the time they're done here at the high school.
Well, I definitely appreciate that because I know I've learned a lot from you and Mr. Byrd. Mr. Ayers both.
That's all right.
So I know we spoke about one of your funny moments in Argentina, which was funny now. I don't know if it was funny then, but if you have to think about like something that's really stuck with you as like a really hilarious moment that you experienced with FFA, what is that moment?
Well, for one, any time that I was with my one of my ag teachers, David Mooring, was a fun time, just because he always knew how to make a situation lighter or make fun of a kind of a serious situation, or just make you feel more comfortable with the joke. Now, I couldn't vividly tell you one off the top of my head, but I remember I remember the feeling of it. But I can tell you a vivid memory that sticks with me because I'm terrified one of my students is going to do this one day. On the way back from that national convention trip, my senior year, we stayed just outside of Sevierville, I think, because I remember there being a Bass Pro right next to the hotel, and a lot of us were in a room just hanging out. You know how things are when you got 15 high school students in a room, and I ended up I don't even remember how it happened. Like, me and this other kid were pretty hyper, jumping from one bed to the other in the hotel room, and everybody else is kind of moving out of the way so we could do that, except for one person. And if she watches this, I hope she laughs about it because I still laugh about it. But she told me if I would have jumped one more time, she's going to kick me. So I said, "Word, let's do it." And I jumped. She kicked me, and when she kicked me, it like caused me to roll. Now this bed was like right up against the wall, and so when I rolled, my foot went through the wall into the bathroom. And so nice like size 12-foot hole in the wall of the hotel room. And as soon as it happened, like, we laugh about it now, but as soon as it happened, I grabbed my shoes and everything and like just out the door. And as soon as I go out the door, I look down, and one of my ag teachers, Miss Spence, is walking down the hallway, and I'm like, crap, I can't go anywhere. So I run back into the room, and I'm sitting there like, what do I do? What do I do? And folks are kind of a mixture of laughing, like, or just, don't know what to do. And so she comes in the room, and as soon as she comes in the room, she's standing here talking to me, but the hole is like behind her, so she has no idea. And I just grab her. I'm like, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. And she's like, what have you done? Are you okay? And I like turn her around, and sure enough, she goes, oh, what have you done? And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Explain the whole situation. And so I'm talking to her. Then my ag teacher, David Mooring, walks in, and he's like talking about travel arrangements for the next day, thinking of the game plan. And Miss Spence goes, David, we have a problem. It's a kind of a problem. And he goes, what? What the heck's going on? And she points. He turns around and goes, what the heck? That's a big freaking problem. And he's like, who the heck did that? And he's looking at everybody else in the room because Adam would never do that, right? And I just go, Mr. Morgan, it was me. He was like, you fix this, Byrd, and just walks away. Luckily, my third ag teacher, Mr. Jenkins, calls me, sees if I'm okay, if my nerves are good, because he knew that kind of stuff messed with me big time. Next morning, got downstairs, called the manager of the hotel, talked with him. He put me on the phone, so I had to talk to him too. Had to take ownership of it. And so luckily, and this is not a story in which like, oh, go try this out because you'll get away with it too. As far as I know, we never had to pay anything unless my ag teachers ended up paying it just so I didn't know about it. I think the scare enough of knowing that had happened, like, had already taught me my lesson. Like, I'm never doing a flip on the bed again kind of thing. So that was definitely one of the funniest experiences that still sticks with me to this day, because now as a teacher, I'm like, I really hope nobody does this. I don't know how I'm going to react.
Yeah, the no more monkeys jumping on the bed story really comes in handy with that one.
Yep. So that's one of the many funny moments that I can share with you.
So last question of today, is there one piece of advice you could give to the members who are watching? What would it be?
Find a way to challenge yourself. If it's not through FFA, which we hope it is, we have a lot of incredible opportunities for our students that we hope they can take advantage of at any kind of level of experience that they might be in. But challenge yourself. Find something that you're passionate about. Do some research on it. I know that in these current times we're like TikToking and Snapchatting and everything, but there's a lot of incredible things you can learn by doing your own research. And figuring out what you're passionate about, because it's important to figure out what you're passionate about so that you can ideally find a career that lines up with that. Prior to this pandemic, my job was the best job in the world. And I'm sure a lot of folks feel that way about their job because they feel that passion. This pandemic has definitely made things challenging on our end of what teaching and being an ag advisor looks like. But still, I'm so fortunate, so blessed to be doing something that I love, working with high school students, trying to challenge them and develop them so that they can be prepared for challenges that we're going through right now. And so, yeah, I'll just say challenge yourself. Maybe Mr. Ayers gets an interview on this. If he does, I know he'll say this quote, but I'm going to say it before him. There is no growth in the comfort zone, and there is no comfort in the growth zone. So find what makes you uncomfortable, because that means that you're growing as an individual and as a leader, and that's what we need.
I would take that piece of advice, and I'm going to drill it in my head. Well, thank you, Mr. Byrd, for joining us today, and thank you to everyone watching for watching the first ever episode of Ag from the Past. And I hope that we see you again next time.
Thank you, Izzy. Hope you all have a great day.